Welcome to this episode of Rebuilding Careers. I am Bonnie Pomish, and it is truly my honor to serve our community as the CEO of Working Wardrobes. And I am here today with the chairman of our Orange County Board of Supervisors, Don Wagner. Thank you so much for joining me for this podcast today.
Pleasure is mine, and you welcome me to the podcast. I welcome you to my office. Happy to have you here, and look forward to chatting with you.
Oh, it's a delight. Well, I think, we all start from somewhere. And if you don't mind indulging a little bit, I think oftentimes about our Working Wardrobes clients, they're starting from somewhere and they arrive at today. So let's find out a little bit before we get into today and forward. Tell me a little bit about your background. Where are you from? A little bit about your childhood. Like what started off the Don Wagner we know today?
Well, I guess on the background question, I'll leave aside the background in politics and get into where I came from.
Yeah.
And my family moved around a little bit. We were in Southern California, we were in Tennessee, we were in Pennsylvania, came back to California, and I finished up junior high and high school up in Ventura County in the Westlake Village area. Went off to UCLA. And so that's kind of where I got my start. From there, went to law school and spent about 30 years as a practicing lawyer. And so that's what kept me busy for most of the time. And then I would sneak in some politics, some special district work for a community college district, and got my start in politics there.
Mm-hmm.
But when you talk about jobs and first job, I mean, the first real job I had, the first paycheck I was just a local sporting goods store, stringing tennis rackets and selling tennis shoes and kind of working my way through it. Small business, so I got a pretty good view of small business, and certainly came out of that with a respect for the work that entrepreneurs are doing in small businesses, no matter what it is. I also work in some larger businesses, but I start there, and you get, if you pay attention, you get a good flavor of your community and the hard work it takes to build and sustain a business. One of the things that I've tried to carry forward in my career is that respect for small businesses and a recognition that many of them are making it day to day and giving back to their communities, but making it day to day. It's not like the big Targets and Walmarts of the world.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of respect I have for the folks that do that hard work. That's where I got started.
Well, as a tennis player, I have to hone back in on stringing rackets for a second, and all the other things are very important. But I'm super curious about this. First of all, what were the lessons? What were the lessons that you learned? I heard you share about the bigger picture, but as an individual contributor to that business, what were some of maybe the barriers you overcame? What did you learn from the experience?
Well, I think the thing you learn, the first thing you learn at an entry level job, I think, is just some of the basics. You need to show up to work. And there are people, especially in a small business, who are depending on you. If I called in sick, there may not have been anyone else to work the shift because it was just a very few people. You learn that. You also learn, in many ways, the value of a paycheck. It's hard to go off and earn a living. A lot of it. I mean, there's a reason they call it work. So you do at the end of the day, especially in some of those jobs, you look at the paycheck and you think what you did and how hard it was, and that is real life. You absolutely learn that. I do worry that some of that gets lost in today's environment, and so that is, especially with some of our younger workers, that is an important lesson for people to learn, because it really doesn't get any easier, as you move up in the world and get more experienced and find jobs with perhaps more responsibilities. The need to show up and do it at a high level every day is critical to success.
Yeah. I love this concept that James Clear talks about in Atomic Habits, which is that we are a accumulation of our habits. And I think that what you're describing, I really, it resonates with me because it's become a habit to overcome. It's become a habit to do the things I don't want to do. It's become a habit to show up. And I think most often the rewards in that is the unexpected.
Right.
Right? Like oh, I didn't want to go do that thing today, but I did it and it was great. Or I didn't expect that I was going to take away this lesson or this what I consider magic in the world.
You do find that. You find I find that, and it sounds like you do as well. You go out into the world and doing the work you need to do, and you may dread it, and there may be parts of it. And again, there's a reason they call it work that aren't a whole lot of fun. But it turns out there are some rewards there, maybe that you never expected. I mean, a quick example from my life and my business is, you know, to get reelected in these jobs, you've got to go out and you've got to knock on doors and you've got to meet the voters. And some folks just absolutely hate that. And it is just utterly tedious. And you get doors slammed in your face, et cetera. But you also meet wonderful people and you
Mhm.
get an opportunity to have conversations that you might not ever have otherwise. And moving forward, be it in your political life, in my case, be it in your job, whatever it is, you find that you're enriched by
Mhm.
that, which you didn't set out to be enriched, but be attentive to the world around you, and good things will happen. I also find that the harder I work, the luckier I get, and there is absolutely a connection between hard work and getting yourself into a position to then have more opportunities or see more opportunities or take advantage of the
Mhm.
opportunities that are there.
Yeah, like your exposure becomes a broader scale and then more opportunity comes to you. You touched on there's a lot of different skill sets that you've touched on having accumulated and sharing in the world. And I'm curious, how do you see yourself as a unique contributor? I mean, I think I have to kind of back that up a little bit because I have a belief, and my belief is that each and every one of us has some purpose to fulfill a unique contribution to make in the world.
Mhm.
And what I'm really after here is what's yours?
Well, maybe I'm not the one to say that because in some ways answering that question, I mean, what is yours? And maybe it sounds a little self-aggrandizing to say it, but I will agree with you that many of us do have particular talents and niches. The key to success, the key to, in my mind, to a an enriched working experience is to do something you love. A
Mhm.
lot of people sometimes have trouble finding
Yeah.
that niche.
Mhm.
I was lucky to fall into it. I mean, one of the things I can do, whether you agree with me or not politically, I can talk. I can talk to a crowd. I can talk to a judge or jury. You may not like what I have to say, but I, in many ways, was put on this earth to talk, and I enjoy doing it. So I've found a career path that does allow me to get out and share with the community the things I think and to take back from that community what I glean about what is important to them and try to put it into place.
Mhm.
The key though is finding your niche. A lot of people hate to talk in public. Okay, find what you do like to do.
Mhm.
And if you can turn it into a job, all the better for you.
True, very true. So you may have just been talking even to your younger self, but I'll ask you this question, which is if you were able to, looking back, before you're even stringing tennis rackets, before you become an attorney, before, what would you say to your younger self from the place of wisdom that you are in now?
I will tell you, I probably would say, "Hey, dummy, it's not as easy as you think it's going to be." I mean, look,
Yeah,
how many of us as
yeah.
kids didn't think, I'm going to be an astronaut, and then when I'm done with that, I'm going to be a movie star, and then I'm going to go be president. And if you're Ronald Reagan, he didn't even make astronaut, but he was the only one that did the two of those. Um, you know, how hard is it? The answer is it's hard.
Yeah.
And to do at a high level whatever you want to do does take some work. And I do. Let me touch on that. There was something I read back when I was very very young that because I was weird and interested in politics at the time, and I was 8 or 9 when I read this, but it applies to this, and I think to many other to your question and many experiences out in the world. John F. Kennedy was asked. It was something, and I'm going to paraphrase it all, but it was something to the effect of, Mr. President, there is somebody out there who is going to read this article someday and is going to be sitting in your, or who's going to be sitting in your office at
Mhm.
your desk. what advice would you give him or her? And his advice was to read widely, read in history, read in the social sciences, read the great novels, to the people you'll meet and the ideas that you'll be experienced in, and get that well-rounded education. And then he said, and whether or not you ever make the presidency, you will be prepared to be a good citizen. And I read that and I took it to heart. And that's the sort of stuff I like to read personally. And I took it to heart, but I do think it is good advice for other people. Read widely, get experience to the ideas. You never know. You know, you may never go into politics. You're never going to be president of the United States, but you are going to find something in the great literatures. You're going to find something in history that's going to resonate with you and is going to add value and allow you to add value going forward. I think that's the kind of advice I would give.
I am taking that so to heart, and it's really affirming to me as the CEO of a nonprofit that is helping people create individualized employment plans, right? And it's, where are you starting? Where are you going? And how are we going to get over whatever the barriers are? We offer so many soft skills trainings, and those trainings are designed to do exactly what you said. It's not necessarily exposure to subject matter, but that it is cross-functional, adaptable, transferable skills that you can take with you anywhere you go. And the piece that you're describing about really overcoming the inertia and the desire to not do maybe, and going forth and trying hard, working hard, going for it, and having this ability to connect. You talked a little bit about this ability that you have to talk, and that's really about connection. That's about sharing ideas and coming to a better tomorrow together. I can't help myself but brag a little bit for a moment that you have really been the champion of Working Wardrobes, and you made sure that there was funding that you proposed that the county supervisors unanimously approved. Yes, we want to help make sure that we make a difference in our citizens' lives. What drove you to be an advocate of this mission that helps people overcome barriers to gainful employment?
So you're talking about, there was a $500,000 grant that we made to Working Wardrobes fairly recently. And the reason behind it is because, in part, I've been watching Working Wardrobes long before I got into this position. And I was the mayor of Irvine. Your office is originally, and your warehouse originally was in Irvine. So it's an organization that I am familiar with. I've toured your facilities. I've really seen the kinds of programs you offer and the opportunities you offer to those who will take advantage of them to really change their lives for the better. And so it was, to my mind, an easy call to say to my colleagues, we have an organization, and they're all familiar with you. We all have great respect for the work that Working Wardrobes does. We were able to collectively say, this is an organization making a difference out in the community. And so here is our opportunity to help a little bit. And it is, to be honest, it's not my money. It is tax dollars that went to Working Wardrobes. But the five of us who all supported this all represent the entire county and see the value that you bring to the entire county, which is what made it, well, I was going to say a somewhat easy call. It wasn't a somewhat easy call. It was a very easy call to say, this is an organization that will benefit. The work they're doing helps our constituents. Let's help them do it.
Yeah. Thank you for being the champion of what I think about as—
Thank you for the work you guys are doing. I mean, seriously.
Yeah. I feel sincerely like it is such a vulnerable space and sacred place to be in with people who are asking for help. I don't know about you, but it's not easy for me to ask for help.
No.
And to know that there is a person asking for that help, they're looking for, they're putting their hand out saying, I need, and that there is this outstretched arm saying, I'm going to help you, give you a hand up, but it's from the passenger seat. It's, you're going to do the work. You're going to drive this, work bus, but we're going to help you. And that's exactly, I feel like, parallel to what you're doing, is saying, we're going to help you help people. And we don't need to do the work. We're going to help you affect that impact in people's lives. It's not even just the person, though. You really touched on this too, right? It's one person transformed is not only affecting them.
No.
It's affecting their family and the neighborhood and the community.
It ripples out into the whole community.
Yeah.
It absolutely does. And and you know, there's a lot of good to be done in helping one person, but I can't imagine that there are very many single folks out there whose lives don't touch anybody else. They obviously do. And so this is a chance to magnify that great work. You're helping this person today, but you're helping so many more people for the rest of that person's life. And they also then have the opportunity to give back themselves. So it's a great thing to be able to help and do.
Definitely, definitely. Well, thank you for your partnership in this regard. I think, service to the public and community is also not easy. It is hard work. And I'm grateful that we have this, we can lean on each other's
Right.
strengths. We can lean on each other's abilities to contribute in the world.
Right. Right.
So we have all sorts of people that listen to our podcast, and I kind of, in a general way, would love to hear any parting words of wisdom or advice, especially for people in our community who are listening and thinking about maybe it's a call to action, maybe it's an invitation. And what would you like to impart to our listeners?
Well, what I would say is that there are many, many opportunities out there to get involved and help the public. We are an enormously generous county. We're a generous people in the United States. There is help available. And it is, as you just mentioned, Bonnie, very hard sometimes to ask for help, but ask. If you need it, ask, because there are people who will, like Working Wardrobes, like so many others in this county, who will say, okay, I can help you. And there's no shame in asking. There's no shame in needing help. It's been a tough time last several years. The economy is dicey. We've all been through COVID together. There is a challenge with mental health. There is a challenge with employment issues. There's no shame in asking for help, because there really are good people who want to help. And the idea is not that, oh, somebody is a bad person. They're just having a tough time. And if they make the right choices in trying to get that help, this community will come behind them. So don't be afraid to ask. And if you're looking to help people, check out what Working Wardrobes has to offer, because they're doing great work in our community.
Oh, thank you. I really appreciate you saying that, because the work we do, we could not do it alone. It's not possible. We just, as one organization, we work with over 185 other organizations to do what they do well, to wrap the services around our clients. So I really appreciate your advocacy for ask for help and offer it, and whatever. And sometimes, I just recently met a client at Working Wardrobes who was a former donor and is now receiving our services. So you never know when that cycle is shifting, and how nice it is to be able to pay it forward, but also to be able to give and receive in that cycle of abundance.
Right. Yeah, absolutely.
Chairman Wagner, it has been a delight to talk with you today. Thank you to our amazing listeners and your support for this Rebuilding Careers podcast. This has been our latest episode. I hope you enjoyed it. Bye for now.